welcome our beloved viewers to RTD's News English edition. Today for the highlights we got Prime Minister and Head of Government receives a farewell visit from Cuban Ambassador. Premature. ASCA welcomes the delegation led by the Minister of Youth Ministry Ali Sabeh. And on the international scene, a meganetes epidemic kills 128 people in the northeast. Those were the major highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The Prime Minister and Interim Head of Government, Mr. Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed, received this morning the farewell visit of the Ambassador of Cuba to Djibouti, Mr. Lázaro Mesa Pulido. The discussions focused on the development of bilateral relations between Djibouti and Cuba. The first and acting head of government thanked the Cuban diplomat for his efforts to strengthen cooperation between the two countries and wished him a safe return. The Cuban ambassador, Mr. Lázaro, thanked the government and the Prime Minister for the support given during his mission in Djibouti. The Cuban ambassador has represented his country for 5 years. The collaborators of the Prime Minister, head of the government by interim, participated in the meeting. Djibouti's diplomatic chief meets his Kuwaiti counterpart in Cairo. On the sidelines of the 156th sessions of the Council of the League of Arab States, all ministerial levels held today in Cairo under the chairmanship of the State of Kuwait, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, the official spokesman of the government, Mr. Mahmoud Al Yusuf, met yesterday evening with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of State for the Council of Ministers of the Brotherly State of Kuwait, Sheikh Dr. Ahmad Nasser Al Mohammed Al Sabah. During this meeting, the two parties held talks that focused on the strong frontal relations that unite the two brotherly countries. The latest development at the regional and international levels were also discussed. The Minister of Defense responsible for relations with Parliament, His Excellency Mr. Hassan Umar Mohammed, received this Thursday, September 9, 2021, at the Hotel of Officers of the Armies, Hassan Basuma Hassan, near the Directorate of International Relations, Admiral Robert Burke, Commander of the United States Naval Forces in Europe and Africa, on a 72-hour working visit. Admiral Robert is accompanied by the U.S. Ambassador auxiliary to Djibouti, Mr. Jonathan Pratt, the U.S. Defense Attaché in Djibouti, Captain Corey Johnston, and his staff. For his part, during the meeting, His Excellency Mr. Hassan Umar was assisted by Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces. This first visit of the Commander of the United States Naval Forces in Europe and Africa with the Minister of Defense in charge of relations with the Parliament is part of his contact with members of the government to expand the strategic partnership between the Republic of Djibouti and the United States. Upon his arrival, Admiral Robert was welcomed by Mr. Hassan Umar at the staircase of the Hotel of the Officer of the Armies, Hassan Basuma Hassan. Then together they carried out the review of the troops composed of a unit of the Headquarters Regiment. Once installed in the conference room of the Officers' Hotel, Admiral Robert, Commander of the United States Naval Forces in Europe and Africa, expressed his gratitude for the warm welcome given to him and the delegation he'll lead since his arrival. Note that Admiral Robert is marking his first working visit to Djibouti.
Personal support for the United States Navy presence here, and particularly to our presence at Camp Lemonnier. But frankly speaking, the stability that your government provides to this region is what allows the United States to conduct operations here.
For his part, Mr. Hassan Umar Mohammed, Minister of Defense in charge of relations with Parliament, took the floor and welcomed Admiral Robert and his delegation to Djibouti, a land of meetings and exchange. In his speech, Mr. Hassan Umar did not fail to praise the role and contribution of the United States in promoting peace, security, and stability in our continent. Following the conclusion of the meeting, the Minister of Defense in charge of Parliament, in honor of the Commander of the U.S. Naval Forces in Europe and Africa and his accompanying delegation, organized an event that included traditional songs and dances of our country in the presence of high-ranking military figures of both countries. This paragraph of the U.S. delegation's visit to the Minister of Defense concluded by exchanging gifts and taking a memorial photo between the U.S. delegation and Djiboutian officials.
مسحدي لحديد مسحدي.
In the continuity of the day, the Chief of General Staff of the Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, also received this morning at the Hotel of the Officers of the Armed Forces the new commander of the Chinese base, the Senior Navy Captain Shen Kun, in the presence of the Chinese Defense Attaché, Senior Colonel Zhang Ju. This first courtesy visit of Captain Chen Kun is part of his contact with the military authorities of the country. General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim first addressed his warm congratulations to the Senior Navy Captain for his appointment as head of the Chinese base. Then the Djiboutian Chief of Staff welcomed him and wished him a pleasant stay in the Republic of Djibouti, a land of meeting and exchange. The Djibouti Chief of Staff wished him success during his command and assured him of his support throughout his mission in Djibouti. Furthermore, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim recalled the excellent cooperation relations between the two armies through the training of the military and stressed his willingness to work further to consolidate these fertile ties. For his part, Senior Navy Captain Chen Kun said he was honored by the warm welcome reserved for him. In addition, the captain stressed that the Republic of Djibouti and the People's Republic of China have privileged frontier relations based on military training and information exchange. The Chinese diplomat pledged to work further to strengthen, consolidate, and expand these ties of cooperation. This courtesy visit ended with the exchange of gifts and the traditional family photo. From the regions of the MGC, the delegation led by the Minister of Youth and Culture, Her Excellency Dr. Hibu Mu'min Asawi, began this morning the last stage of its program. Direction is to the Aska, second industrial city of the country. Accompanied by the representative of USAID in Djibouti, Mr. Lloyd Jackson, the minister first met with the prefect of the region, Mr. Musa Ademegan, and the president of the regional council, Mr. Umar Ahmed Wa'es, at the prefecture, and four parliamentarians of the region, Mr. Abdi Khairi, Abdu, Harun Hassan, and Roda Ahmed Ali. On the menu, discussions of the program of visit of the minister, her guests, and her delegation around the traditional breakfast were discussed. The discussions continued at the regional council, where the delegation was welcomed with great pomp. The prefect of the region, the president of the regional council, the parliamentarians, and the deans of the assembly in turn expressed their joy at welcoming the minister and said they were all ready to accompany her in her first efforts. The USAID representative expressed his wish to also contribute to the minister's efforts. Finally, the minister mentioned the business opportunities of the regions, its motivation and willingness to move and develop that the whole government, in accordance with the will of the head of state, will take measures for an inclusive development of the regions. The minister then began a tour of the CDC in Ali Sibeh. Let's watch the following images of the visit that took place that Her Excellency the Minister did. As we are seeing the warm welcome that the minister received in the CDC. The Minister of Charge of Decentralization, His Excellency Mr. Qasim Harun Ali, received this morning in the presence of his communication officer in his honor lounge the Japanese Ambassador to Djibouti, His Excellency Mr. Utsuku Imo, accompanied by his collaborator Akiro Iwai. The Japanese ambassador began the interview by thanking the Minister Qasim Harun for the warm welcome he received. The ambassador then congratulated the minister for his appointment at the head of this important department, that is the Minister of Decentralization. Mr. Qasim Harun also thanked the ambassador for his visit and presented the prerogatives, achievements, and missions of his department, namely the strengthening of good local governments, bringing the administration closer to the citizens, and improving the conditions for the provision of public services by putting in place effective strategies for local development. To conclude, the two men parted promising to see each other in the near future to discuss in depth the ways and means to concretize the project. As part of the 2021-2022 academic year, the administrative registration is still going on at the University of Djibouti. These registrations began on September 5th and will continue until September 23. For that, the Direction of Schooling and University Life urges the new graduates to come and register massively during this period. It also informs the graduates admitted to the university that, as usual, the Direction of Schooling is mobilized to guide them, to advise them, and to register them. Finally, the Direction of Schooling takes the opportunity to advise graduates and their parents that for the year, the University of Djibouti has launched a new application dedicated to new graduates and to popularize the process of pre-registration and registration at the university. Everyone will find all the practical and necessary information for the orientation and registration of the baccalaureate. Moving on to the Ministry of Health, through the National Institute of Public Health of Djibouti, launched this Thursday the special spraying campaign in the popular neighborhoods of the city of Djibouti. This initiative is part of the Institute's tireless efforts to get rid of and effectively eradicate mosquitoes, which are the main vectors of infectious diseases. Indeed, the spray vehicles will use effective pesticides to eliminate the larvae in urban areas. Let us recall that these activities of special spraying and elimination of mosquitoes will continue according to a pre-established schedule encompassing the different sectors of the capital and more particularly the areas at risk of malaria. In a brief speech, the director of the National Institute of Public Health of Djibouti, Mr. Hussein Mohammed Hussein, recalled the objective of this important initiative, urging the population to cooperate with the teams in charge of implementing this campaign. The Ministry of Trade and Tourism launched on September 5, 2021, operations of Sinus, location of sales, outlets, and activities related to trade in the Republic of Djibouti. These operations, which will last several months, begin at the level of Djibouti City and will be spread throughout the national territory in collaboration with the National Gendarmerie. This large-scale aims essentially to provide the Ministry of Trade and Tourism with a database of sales outlets and activities related to trade, including stores, bakeries, pastry, supermarkets, fruits, and vegetables. The objective is to identify the structural data of sales outlets to enable the Ministry of Commerce and Tourism to better monitor the market and ensure compliance with approved prices and protect consumers from risks related to the use of outdated products made available on the national market. This use of structural data and location of sales outlets constitute a privileged source of information for the deterrent of internal trade and is part of the attenuation program of the Ministry's priority activities with the aim of developing an information and decision support system. As we move towards the international scenes, the Office of the World Health Organization in Africa has declared an epidemic of meningitis in the Northeastern Democratic Republic of Congo. 128 deaths have been recorded. By this, our beloved viewers, we conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us and make sure to stick around for more. Have a lovely evening and thank you.